Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Volunteer Office Staff Training. I'm Jacqueline Zimmer Jones. I'm the Executive Director at Next Village San Francisco. And with me today is Rachel Bell. Rachel is our Volunteer Coordinator. So what we want to do today is just give you an overview of how Next Village works, what some protocol for the office, and just help you feel more comfortable when you're in the office, because people don't always understand what a village is. They often think it's a place, and they don't know what we do. So, and some of our volunteers are familiar with our social activities. Some of them are more familiar with our volunteer services. So we're just going to try to provide you with a little broad-based understanding of who we are and what we do. And so that's the purpose of the training. We want you to understand about our services and our events, and we want to make that easy for you to speak to. So we'll move on. The mission of Next Village is to help older adults who live in Northeast San Francisco to age in place. We like to think of ourselves as the family that would step in and help you if your family lived nearby and if they were willing. And then we also like to keep people connected and engaged through social, cultural, and educational events. And we're trying to take the anxiety out of aging at home. That's our number one goal, but also to make it fun to continue to age at home. Excuse me. Next Village is one of 250 villages across the country, and there are 43 villages in California. Villages have been around for about 15 years, and the first one launched in Beacon Hill in the Boston area, when a group of older adults realized that their plan was to age in place like 99% of the population, but they knew they were going to need some help, and they were trying to come up with a way to set themselves up to have a successful aging, and to have that a platform in place for that before they needed it rather than when they needed it. So we're one of 250 villages in the country. We've been around since 2009. So we turned 10 technically a couple of years ago. And we have a little over 200 members and about 100 volunteers right now. And as some of you may know, Janet Crane, who's our current board chair, is one of the co-founders of Next Village. So, okay. So we are also part of the California Village Movement. So that's an association of the California villages. And we work together to promote villages around the state and also through government. We just got included in the governor's master plan on aging. Villages did. It didn't come with any money, but we are receiving more and more recognition all the time as being a vital piece of the continuum of long-term care in California. One interesting thing about Next Village is that we actually do get funding from the City and County of San Francisco's Department of Aging, and not very many villages get funding from their local government. So we're very lucky, and that's one of the reasons that our programming is so robust and that our service offerings are so robust. And we're very fortunate to have that. Okay, next, I'm going to talk about what we do. And I did mention that, Rachel, I think we skipped one in the service area. Or am I one ahead of myself? I might be one ahead of myself. Villages are, as I said, we're considered the family that would help you if you were nearby and if they were willing. A lot of people don't want to call on their family for help because they feel like it might give them the impression that they're not capable of aging in place. And a lot of family members that live nearby are busy raising their own families, etc. So they don't want to bother them. We're happy to be bothered. It's not a bother. But as you can see, we help with transportation, groceries, technology, friendly visits and calls, minor chores, referrals, and so much more. But we're not a home care agency and we're not a medical agency. So we can provide support, for example, if someone comes home from the hospital and needs a little more help, but we're actually not going to do any grooming or bathing or, deep cleaning, any of those kinds of things. But it's very boutique what we do. Today, we provided last minute transportation to a member who has issues with her blood pressure. And we actually had the volunteer went with her to that appointment, went into that appointment with her, and then escorted her home and made sure she was okay. So we just say to people, just ask. You should just ask us. It's entirely possible that we will be able to help. Okay, thank you. Where are we at now, Rachel? All right, what else do villages do? We have fun. We host over 40 social, cultural, and educational events each month. You get the newsletter, you take a peek, and you say, oh my goodness, there's something every single day. And some days we have 3 and 4 events. Currently, everything's on Zoom, but as soon as things really open up, we'll be moving out into the community a lot more. Actually, we're starting to move about in the community. And so we have more events than any village in the country. We are really the envy of my peers. And that's great. We say, just go ahead, look at what we're doing. Everyone is welcome to join. So if someone wants to join our social events, they're very welcome to do that. Okay.
Backtrack to service area.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I thought. So our service area, well, Next Village San Francisco is an acronym for the Northeast Exchange Team. So what we are, in fact, in the northeast part of the city, in districts 2 and 3, if you know anything about the supervisory districts, a lot of people that have lived in the city a long time are very familiar with the lines for those 2 districts. But North Beach, Telegraph Hill, Holt Gulch, Russian Hill, the Northern Waterfront, the Embarcadero, Nob Hill, the Financial District, we're up to the Presidio. Our boundary line is generally considered to be Broadway, but we really go as far as California Street. And Van Ness is used to be the end of our service area, but now we go all the way over to the Presidio. But if someone comes in and they don't live in our service area, they should still talk to me because we may be able to help them find services closer to where they live. And we do have members who live in other parts of the city. They want to participate in our social events, and some of them we are able to find volunteers to serve, even though they don't live nearby. Because as you know, the majority of our volunteers live in this area, and it makes it easy for them to serve our members. Okay, onward. This is our staff at Next Village. I'm the executive director and have been for 8 years. Donna runs District 2 University. And the story behind District 2 University is that the city decided that seniors in District 2, that's the marina, et cetera, weren't getting enough socialization. So they issued an RFP to provide social services for them. Social activities for them. So we were already serving people in District 2, but that extra boost of money allowed us to hire Donna, and she manages all of the social events that happen in District 2, and they're extensive, and we call it D2U, District 2 University. We tried to make the programming in that area a little more esoteric. A lot of our members are highly educated, well-traveled people with lots of interesting subjects that they want to follow. And so that Donna manages those. And that's one of the reasons we have so many programs. Rachel, our volunteer coordinator, and Rachel's been with us She joined us during the pandemic. And then Victoria Walton is our administrative support behind the scenes. So if you were going to refer people to anybody, it would probably be me and Rachel, most likely, and we'll send the request down the pipeline if need be. Okay, ready? This is our board of directors. Again, this isn't anything you need to commit to memory, just to familiarize yourself. Perhaps you know some of these people. Janet Crane, as I said, is the co-founder. Gail Switzer has been an original member from the beginning, and she has been our treasurer all this time. Kim Rachi is an attorney at Sutter Health and has been on our board for many, many years and came to us as a volunteer. Christy Gritton, it doesn't even live in the district. She works in a financial firm. Barbara Blake is a neighborhood member and volunteer. Sebastian DeLuca works in technology in the field of medical health, telehealth. Howard Wong, a lot of people know Howard, an architect. He's been on our board very long. Helen Doyle lives in Russian Hill. Harrison Ravazola came to us as a volunteer and then joined the board. Sadie Scott is a neighborhood volunteer. You might know her dad, Paul Scott. He just purchased, or last year, or a while ago, he purchased Julia's Castle and he's been restoring that. Pauline Stoddard and Reed Rankin came to us as volunteers. They do not live in the district, but they love the organization and they've raised funds for us in the past, and they're just outstanding people. And then finally, Dr. Nandini Joseph, who's an endocrinologist in Berkeley. So we have a variety of skill sets and educational backgrounds on our board, and we are very busy. Okay, next is the membership, who can join and how. Now, this is, I think it's very confusing, and just for purposes of the background in the history of Next Village, we have all villages generally charge about $600 a year for someone to join. So we're going to go into some details about that, but our membership is open to anyone. You can be 30 and join Next Village, but generally our membership is 50 and over. Did I sign out? Nope.
I think that was,
Okay.
ignore me for a second.
Let me just pause for a second. So again, anyone can be a member of Next Village. Even if they don't live in the district, they can join. We do have a lot of people who donate and join and never use any of our services. So we're open. We're an open organization. But when people say, how can I join? You'll be able to tell them that they can fill it out online. There will be a computer at the office that you can use while you're there. We'll show folks how to get to our website and enroll people if they decide they want to enroll on the spot. And if there is a payment associated with their membership, they can pay by PayPal online, or they can pay by check. Or, again, these are things you do not have to take care of as a general rule. You can let us know someone's interested and we'll follow up with them. But the bottom line is, a lot of people will say, oh, I can't join. I don't need to join. I'm not old. Well, but we are aging, and we're not just about, an organization. We're a community, and, be a rebel, join when you're young. It's really a good idea, especially because sometimes people call us and they're in severe crisis and they need us to help them. And we scramble to put together a crew of volunteers to help them, but we don't really know what they're dealing with. As a general rule, if a member joins early, we know them, like we know you. We know what their living situation is. We learn whether they use a walker. We learn whether, if we were giving them a ride, they could just walk themselves down to the street, or whether the volunteer needs to go up and get them. Just there's so many reasons to join ahead of time before you need help. It's just a lot easier for us to help people if we've got a clue about them and have a relationship with them. It's not mandatory, but we just encourage people to just go ahead and join. There's no harm in it. Okay. Membership types. This is something that I'd love for you to pay attention to if you could. And again, we'll have cheat sheets like this in the office for you. And I think almost all of you are members, so you have some familiarity with this. But when we launched, we followed the village protocol and created several levels of membership types. Because the northeast part of San Francisco has the highest concentration of seniors in the city, the highest concentration of ethnic seniors, and the highest concentration of low-income seniors, we created a subsidized membership, and that's free. And generally, you can say if your income is below $50,000 a year, please feel free to join at no cost. And if you can make a donation towards your membership. But again, we're trying to remove the anxiety out of joining and out of asking for help. It's a very interesting business model. I call it the touchy-feely business model. That's just how we roll. So we're happy to help people by subsidizing their membership. And that's one of the reasons that you see us fundraising all the time, is we are covering a number of subsidized memberships. Then we have the associate membership, which is $120. Now, again, don't commit this to memory, but people say, why 120? Well, and that gives you access to all the services and all the events. Technically, that lower level was initially for people who just had a little limited income and but wanted to pay something toward their membership. A few years ago, the city, because they give us funding, said, you must charge everyone $120. Everyone must pay something. And their logic was that people that pay feel more, they feel like they're actually invested in an organization if they pay. And our response was, we don't think that's true. We think people are invested whether they've paid or not. If they're getting help, they're invested. But we couldn't beat that back. And we are required to serve under contract with the city. And now, mind you, they give us a third of our funding, but somehow or another they have control over this. We are required every year to meet a certain number of goals and objectives. And that includes how many members we have, how many services we provide, how many volunteers we have, how many hours of service we provide, how many hours of educational events we provide. So there's a variety of obligations we have to the city. So anytime someone participates in an event with us, if they are a member, if they have paid an associate fee, it counts towards meeting our goals with the city. If they are subsidized, it doesn't count. So if we do an event and there's 10 people and all of them are subsidized, as far as the city's concerned, the event didn't happen. We can't take any credit for any of the people that attended, even though we're serving, older adults in San Francisco. So that's unfortunate. It's a little confusing. Again, I don't expect you to commit it to memory, but if you've ever wondered, why we try to encourage people to join, that's why. But also, if you ever come to any of our events, you are never going to know whether the person sitting next to you has paid or not. And we want it that way. We want everyone to feel welcome, regardless of what they paid. So that associate level is $120. And we don't limit the amount of services you can get for that. We don't limit the amount of events you can attend. It's just what it is. Beyond that, we have full membership. And that's for people who need help from us, who might want to attend our events and who can afford that level. And a number of our members do, and we thank you for doing that, because that there's no way that the dues at this level really sustain our organization. If you can think about the time it takes for a service request to go through, to find the volunteer, train the volunteer, pay for the background check, pay for the platform that we use to send the messages out to everybody. We are not making money on our dues. We're grateful that people pay them, but it's just a part of our income and it's not a major part of it at all. But so a number of people will pay $600. If you want to join to support the organization, you don't need anything. Maybe you just want to join because you support it and you want it to be available to your neighbors. Maybe you're joining early because someday you think you might need it. That's a sustaining membership and it's tax deductible. So there are people who join, never ask us for anything, attend events, and at the end of the year, that's something that they can write off on their taxes. So membership, I think, is a little bit confusing. It might be hard to explain, which is why you're more than welcome to just turn to the person and say, the best thing to do would be to call Jacqueline or let her call you, and she can explain all that to you. So, okay, where are we at right now?
Do you want to do the role play? Membership role play?
Sure. We'll do a little bit of role playing for you right now. Let me see if I can get mine up there. Okay. So what we thought we'd do is sometimes it's easier to show than to tell. And so we thought we would just do a quick role play and Rachel will pretend to be the volunteer. Rachel will be the person on the street that comes by and is looking in the window, and I'll be the volunteer working in the office and I'll see them out there. So I'll get up and generally what we'll do, you'll take a brochure to the front door with you and a newsletter and you can say, hi, I'm here to, I'm here to answer your questions. So we'll do a quick role play with that. All right. So okay. Rachel?
All right. Well, hey, I'm interested in Next Village membership for my mom. Can she join?
Oh, that's great. Can you tell me what neighborhood she lives in?
She lives in the Marina.
Oh, good, good. Okay, so she's in our service area. Can you tell me a little something about your mom?
Well, she lives alone and she likes going to the store. She loves shopping, but she can't drive anymore, so she's having trouble going there by herself.
Ah, great. Perfectly understandable. We can help with that. We have volunteers who could go to the store with her or for her. And if she joins, we'll have a conversation with her about her needs and what works for her. Does she use a walker? How often does she like to shop? What stores does she like to go to? Are we talking the grocery store or does she just want to go to Macy's and window shop? So we'll talk to her about that. And then also we have 400 social, cultural, and educational events each year. So here's a copy of our latest newsletter. Maybe there's something she'd be interested in joining.
Okay, great. What do I do to get her started?
Oh, it's easy. Here's an information packet. Talks about the benefits of membership, tells you a little more about us. There's a brochure in here, and you can take this with you and review it with her. And we can also add both of you to our mailing list, so you get our monthly newsletter. In fact, we also, not just online, but we also send our newsletter in print to a lot of people. So if she's not online, she can get a copy of our newsletter. There's an online application form that you can fill out, or there's a paper application form in this packet. So, take a look, and if you have any questions, let us know. There's 4 different membership levels to choose from based on your income. And I can explain those to you, or you can talk to our executive director and she can answer your questions and just give you some more information about how Next Village works.
Okay, great, thanks. I'm gonna look over this information with my mom.
That's perfect. And she's welcome and you're welcome to join us for any of our events. It's a great way to get to know Next Village a little better because events are open to everybody. Thanks for coming by.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to talk about right now before I turn it over to Rachel is donations. We are a 501c3 and all donations are tax deductible. And again, you can make donations through PayPal or by check. You don't have to have a PayPal account to use the PayPal platform on our website. There's a way to once you've entered your information, it'll give you the opportunity to just use the platform as a guest. So sometimes people think, oh, I don't have a PayPal account. You don't really need one. So people can, they can pay online, they can pay by check, by, mailing a check to us. But we also have, sometimes people just walk up and hand us a check or cash. And we have an envelope in the bathroom that we'll talk to you about later where you can put any donations. We just want you to take a picture of whatever someone gave you, make sure you have all their contact information, and then we'll take it from there. The donations that people give us go towards our general fund. We really don't have specific funds for certain activities except transportation, because as you know, if we can't find a volunteer to take you to an appointment, we will schedule a lift, and we cover the costs of that. People can reimburse us if they want to, but as a general rule, we might spend $20 or $25 getting someone to Kaiser and back. And so we always set a little bit of money aside from our fundraising to cover those expenses. But as a general rule, it just goes towards covering subsidized events, or subsidized members and event costs. A lot of our volunteers who present, a lot of people who present for us volunteer for free, and others, we actually offer them a small stipend to work for us every month. We value what they do for us. We know their time is valuable. We know their skills are valuable. And so some of the donations we get actually go towards covering events. So anyway, that's it for donations. All right, let's move on to how to become a volunteer, because people will say, I'd like to volunteer. There will be signs in the window that people can look at and read, and they'll have a QR code on them. So a lot of volunteers, people who are interested, will just walk up and take a picture of the QR code, and it'll take them to our website. That's one way people can become a volunteer. But beyond that, Rachel, would you explain this part, please?
Sure. Yeah, so you all are volunteers, so you have gone through this process to some extent. But if you became a volunteer a long time ago, it might have changed a little bit. So you don't need to necessarily know this by heart, but it's just good if people ask you about what the process is. Some organizations have really extensive onboarding processes, so it's good to just know the gist of how this works. So we have an online application for volunteers. And like Jacqueline said, there is a QR code in the office, or they can also just go on our website and go to the Become a Volunteer tab. All volunteers will have to go to complete a background check, and that's done online. They will need to attend a volunteer orientation, which is on Zoom, and it's usually about 30 minutes. And then they will read and sign our volunteer handbook. This is actually typically done through DocuSign, which makes it super easy. I email them a link and they can read it and then sign it right online. So it should be really easy. And then if anyone's going to drive our members and provide transportation, we will need their driver's license and proof of insurance. So that's only relevant if they're going to be a transportation volunteer. And in general, the best thing to do if someone's interested in volunteering is just to give them my information. They can email me, call me, text me, and I can send them the information about how to get started.
Okay.
Do we want to do questions now or keep going?
We're going to switch to office protocol. Does anyone have a burning question they'd like us to answer right now? Okay. All right. We'll take that as a no.
Great. Okay. So we're going to give you a kind of a cheat sheet, like Jacqueline said. with all of this information, and we'll also send you these slides, so you, again, do not need to memorize this information. But this is just a quick overview of what it would look like to work for a volunteer shift and some of the protocols you'll want to know. So first of all, when you arrive at the office, you want to arrive a few minutes early just so you have time to kind of unlock the doors, get set up before people start coming in. So arrive around 5 minutes before your shift begins. On the front door, there's a lockbox, and we'll give you the code for that lockbox so that you can open it. And inside is the front door key, as well as a bunch of other keys. So it's labeled as front door. And you'll want to take out that key, unlock the door, and then close up the lockbox again, and shuffle the numbers so that people can't see what the code is. And then you're gonna just keep the office door locked if you want while you're setting up, so people don't just start walking into the office, because they will do that if the door is open. So then you're just gonna turn on all the lights. When you walk in, there's a light switch all the way on the left side, or if you're standing in the office facing the front door, the lights are on the right in the big window. And just walk around, turn on all the lamps, and just make it nice and bright in the office so that everyone can see clearly. And to continue setting up, you want to make sure when you walk in, there's a little round table near the door. And that has a bunch of marketing material. So it has our brochure, it has the most recent newsletter, it also has a sign-in sheet. So you want to just make sure all those materials are laid out properly. We're also going to have a sign-in sheet so that if anyone comes in and they want more information, they can write down their name and their email and phone number, so that way we'll be able to follow up with them easily if they have questions about how to become a member or how to volunteer, or if they want to join our email mailing list. You may want to just kind of go around tidying some stuff up just in case something's been left out on the tables, just sort of make it look a little bit neat. You don't have to go, work too hard to clean up, but it should be pretty much okay when you walk in. But just if you see stuff lying around, that's a good opportunity to just make the office look nice. We have an air purifier and a fan. So this is part of the COVID protocol that we're using right now. So the fan is placed near the door. And when people are coming in, we're going to leave that door propped open. And then the air purifier will just be turned on to kind of filter the air while we're there. You'll want to go to the back and unlock the bathroom. So there's a key kind of hidden behind the fridge you can use to unlock the bathroom. And we just want to make sure there's a clear path to the bathroom. It is an ADA requirement that we have a nice wide clear path in case anyone has a wheelchair or a walker or something, that they can go from the front door to the bathroom easily. And then you can just set yourself up at a table. You can facing the door, and we will have a laptop you can set up going to the Next Village website in case anyone wants to sit right there and fill out the volunteer application or something, or if you want to just show them the calendar, you can do that. And then, when you're ready, you can unlock the front door and just prop it open.
There's actually, it's an automatic door. So you can either reach up and keep it propped open all the time with the button, or you can, well, some people might not be able to reach it. There's usually something laying around that you can reach up and open it with if you're too short.
Yep. And the door does have a automatic, like a button where it will automatically open, one of the ADA automatic door buttons on the inside and on the outside. Okay, so the main goal is to welcome guests. So we have this office in a really prime location. There's lots of foot traffic. People walk by and see our signs and they stop to take a look. So we want to have you all be there in order to kind of talk to those people and tell them, invite them in, ask if they have questions. You want to make sure to introduce yourself as a volunteer so that they can, they know that you don't work there, and just in case they have questions, you can always pass them to staff if needed.
We'll have magnetic badges for you that you can just put on when you get there and leave when you go.
Yep. And as I said before, there's going to be that sign-in sheet. So if anyone seems interested, see if you can convince them to sign in and maybe sign up for our newsletter. You want to, ask them questions. Are they already a member or volunteer? Or if they're interested, we want to make sure to give them a newsletter and a brochure so they can go home and then check out the website for themselves later if they want. And we do have a big bookshelf where there's books and puzzles and games and things like that. Throughout COVID, we have been doing an entertainment exchange on Fridays where members can come in and pick out a book and maybe give us a different book and sort of trade different entertainment. But anyone can take that stuff, and it's not something that needs to be returned. So if someone walks in and wants to take a book, that's perfectly fine. And then members will likely come by as well. And they may want to just say hello and visit for a while, which is fine. But in general, the office is really only intended for short visits. It's not really meant to be a place where people hang out all day. So, feel free to, chat with them, get to know them when they come in. But, well, yeah, it's not, I don't know if Jacqueline, if you want to say something else about this, but generally it's meant for short visits only.
Okay.
Okay, and then so other activities. So there will be times where maybe nobody comes by, especially maybe if the weather's not nice, people aren't walking by. So we may have some other activities you can do while you're in the office. So for example, when we mail our newsletter every month, you could maybe help with that, folding it and putting the stamps and all that. Or if we're mailing other items to members, or maybe there's like getting ready for an event, we may have some tasks you could do, but these are always going to be optional. It's the primary reason that you're in the office would be to welcome guests and tell people about Next Village and kind of share your enthusiasm and get them interested in joining. But this is more just if you have downtime and you want something to do. Okay, and then when you're all set with coming towards the end of your shift, about 15 minutes before, you want to announce that you're going to be closing up soon. Everybody has to go home. And so before you go, you want to just do a little bit of tidying. If papers were taken out or if things are just get a little bit messy, you just want to put things back. You want to turn off all of the lights and the fans that you had turned on earlier and the air purifier. And then we're gonna lock up the bathroom. So the bathroom is where we keep, the bathroom is in the back of the corner of the office, and it's where we keep a lot of the kind of expensive stuff, like if we have donations that were made or if we have like computers and things like that, we lock that in the bathrooms as an added layer of security. So you always want to make sure to lock the bathroom before you leave. And then you're gonna, when everything's all set, you're gonna lock the front door and then put the key back in the lockbox. Again, you wanna make sure to thoroughly shuffle that combination on the front of it so nobody can walk by and see what it is. And just put the key back in the lockbox, pull on the door, double check it's locked. And then the last thing is to be sure to report what happened during your shift on Monami. And I will talk more about Monami and kind of how this works for people who are less familiar. But basically you will get an email, automated email after your shift that says, thanks for helping us out, fill out a super short survey telling us how it went. And you'll just say like, everything went fine, or a few people came by and asked about membership or whatever it is that happened. That way we just know kind of what's going on and are on top of anything we need to follow up on. And that's it so far. We'll come back to the Monami stuff separately if you have questions about that, but otherwise, now's a good time to ask any questions you might have.
Rachel, I have two questions and a compliment. That was an excellent presentation. Thank you. Question number one, is there any money in the office anywhere?
So I'll take that. Sometimes there is money, and that is in a manila envelope that we keep in the bathroom. There's a tall cupboard in the bathroom, and that's where the laptop will be that you might use. And by the way, if you don't want to use the laptop, you certainly don't have to, but there's a laptop there and there's an envelope. Now, the reason that there is sometimes money there is because we are not there every day, and different people sometimes go and collect the mail. We get our mail from the post office up around the corner. So there are checks and, you know, donations and whatnot. And so they put it in that envelope until I get to the office, at which point I take it out and deal with it. So
Okay.
that's why we have the key to the bathroom in a magnetic lockbox that's on the back of that refrigerator. And it's a
Okay.
short refrigerator. You could just kind of reach around, but you'd kind of have to know there was a key back there. But yes, there is, but often it's rarely is there any cash.
Okay.
But the checks, I mean, as soon as someone goes and picks up the mail and gets a check, I try to get there very, very quickly to get it out of there so that there isn't money laying around.
Okay, good.
It's been a little different with COVID because I've not needed to go in every day, but we'll be going in more frequently, and more staff will be there more, and they'll be able to move that money faster than it's being moved right now.
Okay. Second question is, if someone wants to or demands to use the bathroom, do we let them?
That's a really good question. So we were going to talk a little bit about your comfort level. And oftentimes when you come to the office, I'm sorry to say this, but unfortunately there might be a houseless person living in our doorway, because there is an overhang. And so as a general rule, what we do is just, we very politely say, excuse me, could you please move? You're blocking our doorway. And sometimes you have to give people a minute to wake up. And when we talk about tidying up before your shift, sometimes that's what we mean. There's often cigarette butts and maybe a leftover food container. And there is a garbage can around the corner by Victoria's Pastry that you can just put everything in, or you can just kind of blow it towards the street. But sometimes there's cardboard, and you know, you just move that around the corner to where that garbage can is and just set it down. And the city comes through and picks that stuff up all throughout the day. So you're not responsible for deep cleaning or anything like that, but sometimes there's people there. Now, as far as people who come by that you don't know that want to use the office, what we really want you to do is honor your comfort level. If for any reason, if you want to sit in the office with the door locked from the inside and watch for people to come by and unlock it and go out and greet them, or stick your head out the door and say hi, you can generally tell who the shoppers are and who the non-shoppers are. And it's just a part of life in San Francisco. So we can't protect people from everything, but you know, on occasion somebody will, you know, bang on the door and demand a match. They want a lighter, they want a match. Do I have? Can they use our phone? Can they? And the answer to that is no, I'm sorry, I'm not authorized to let anyone in.
Okay.
And you just say that. I'm not authorized to let anyone in. And if they give you a hard time, we'll leave the number for the precinct up the street. We'll leave the police number. It's generally not a 911 issue, but you can, if they're bothering you or they're loitering too much, you can actually just call in the police and say, I'm very uncomfortable. I'm here by myself. Could you come by and move this person along?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
As
yeah,
far as using the bathroom, we're not authorized to allow them to use the bathroom?
right.
Okay.
That's just a flat answer. I mean, again, if it's somebody that's 79 and they're coming in and they want to learn about membership, again, honor your comfort level.
Okay.
You can say, this isn't a public building. You can say, I don't have a key. It's only been one time where I've been uncomfortable with an older person who came in, and she had some mental health issues and, you know, wanted to use my phone, and, you know, wanted to kind of set up shop for the afternoon and wanted to use our Wi-Fi, et cetera, et cetera. And I just say, you know, I'm not authorized to have anybody do anything like that. And, you know, if it's okay with you, this is a good time for you to leave. You just kind of move them towards the door. That's why I think it's a good idea to kind of greet people out front rather than just open the door wide and say, come on in.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
want to get a sense. If this wasn't the way San Francisco rolled, it would be different. I wish it was. Good question, Dale. Thank you.
So is there Wi-Fi for the laptop? Is it all set?
There will be. we just switched internet companies and there will be Wi-Fi available. We will have a document on the wall that'll be folded in half. The Wi-Fi password will be, we'll see it. Yeah.
Okay.
And yes, and you can use it. Link your own phone to it if you'd like. If you want to bring your own computer, that's fine. But again, there'll be a computer in the bathroom that you can bring out and plug in while you're there. And then, use it as you wish. Yeah.
Okay. And what hours are you planning to have people be there? Have you decided that yet?
Well, that's, if it's okay, can we put a pin in that question? We're going to have that conversation with you offline. What we want people to do is come when they're available for the amount of time they're available, but we would like to have a presence every day at the office. Now, Rachel and I and Donna will each take a day at the office. And we'd like you guys to fill in on those bookend days. But also you can be there when we're there so that we can work and you can handle the people on the sidewalk kind of thing. So we'll talk to you about that. We want to kind of have a conversation with you about how long is too long for a shift and
Okay.
okay,
That's
thing.
okay.
Okay.
Wondered. Yeah,
That's
great.
Good question. Yep. Okay.
You mentioned a bookcase with games and things.
Mhm.
Sometimes people will come in and want to donate. We just accept if it's,
Right.
Not trash, but
Yeah.
just accept and get information so we can acknowledge them in some way.
That's a good question, Phyllis. We are currently not accepting any more gifts, puzzles or games.
Okay.
It's a very small office.
Mhm.
And, but if people have a lot of books they need to get rid of, you can give them our contact information and we can give them advice about who would take a lot of books. If they're a member, in fact, we actually have been to people's homes and they have boxed up books and we have driven them to a location that accepts books. So we are very resourceful. We have all sorts of clues about how things can be done, but yeah, we don't have the room for more books right now.
Right.
That's why we say they can take it. They don't have to bring it back.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Help
bless
clear
you,
it out.
Yeah, we're full. We're full up. If you
You
want to sneak a few of your own books in there, that's fine, but
You mentioned mail coming in. Do we have any responsibilities about the mail or
no.
other than we know where it is? But
Right. You actually don't. The mail comes into the post office in North Beach on Stockton, I think it is, by Washington Square Park. So we go get the mail with a key. There is a key to mail in that front door lockbox, but you don't have to do anything with it. However, the mail carrier sometimes slides mail through for that address through the front door, but rarely does it belong to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to do that. Now, if you were, if you wanted to, or maybe we're waiting for something urgent to come in, I'll be gone for a couple of weeks in July. We might say to one of you, hey, how do you feel about walking over to the post office and getting our mail out of this box?
Okay.
Just because we might be looking for something. A lot of times people, again, they send us checks. We like them to know that the check arrived so they don't worry about whether or not it made it. So sometimes we'll ask people to do that, but as a general rule, nope, but bring bring the newspaper or bring something you've got to do just to be, you're an ambassador for us.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. Eva, any questions from you?
I was thinking you have a brochure, you
Yes.
said,
Mm-hmm.
talks about Next Village. And I was wondering, is there an additional thing that you might have handout, I guess you could call it, that is FAQs? Like
Yes.
sometimes people like that because it gets right to the point.
Yes. Well, and since we created this training, there's one thing that has changed since then. there's a packet that you can give people. It's a blue binder. What do you call it? Peachy folder. And there's information on both sides of that. One of the other things we're going to ask you to do is, we don't want to leave a lot of brochures out front for people to get when we're not there because somebody might start a fire with it. But we're going to take a chance. We've created these door hangers. It's two-sided. It has good information on it. It has a place at the bottom for somebody, if you said, oh, this organization might help my neighbor, you can take this and leave it on their door and you can write a little note right here. And this also folds and tears off. So there's also a card right here. So before you leave, or even while you're there, you might try to hang 8 or 9 of these over our door handle so that people can pick it up when they go by. And if no one starts any fires with them, we'll continue to do that. And so we'll put these in an obvious place so that you can, there are brochure racks right inside the front door where the newsletter will be, where these will be, where our brochure is. If people just want the brochure, that's perfectly fine. There'll be membership applications in there and volunteer applications. So if people just want to take one or the other, they sure can. But if they're genuinely interested in membership, you can give them that whole packet. And these are not yet in the packet, so.
Got it.
Mhm.
Well, it sounds like you have everything covered. It sounds to me, since I've been a longstanding real estate broker, it sounds like having an open house with street people nearby who also might want to participate in viewing the open house, but that's okay. That's okay. I mean, you're right there on the street, so if there's anything untoward, you can just walk outside and that's the end of it, right? Am I right about that?
Yes. Again, just this honor your comfort level. I've, even if I go next door to Victoria's Pastry to get coffee, I will lock the door
Yes.
and just
course.
take the key with me.
Yeah.
And I leave the key, that's why Rachel said, leave the key in the door once you're in the office. And you can lock it while you're in there, or you can, we just keep the key in the door, that if you needed to lock it quickly, you could.
But that it gets a little touchy and sketchy. Like if you open the door for one and not, you think you shouldn't open the, I understand the security advantage, but it could become a little sketchy, about determining who you open the door for or not, that kind of thing.
Well, okay, so a couple of things. First of all, we are getting a security camera. So that's one thing that's helpful. But I think as a rule of thumb, if there's, as you're out walking, if you see someone that gives you a funny feeling, you're going to step away from them and just act the same way when you're in the office. Honestly, I think, again, sometimes there's someone sleeping, they're all very harmless and they're courteous. And then there've only been a couple of times where someone has kind of, give me a match. So again, you just have to use common sense and
Right. Well, I'm not
honor your comfort level.
right. I'm not fearful, but I was thinking about like being discriminating, it's
Be
if-
discriminating. Go ahead. Go ahead and be discriminating. If they're willing to talk to you through the front door and give you their backstory of why they're there and what they're interested in,
Okay.
you'll, I know, I'm sorry. There's always a little risk with just, living in San Francisco on a daily basis, but the fact that you can lock the door is fine. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, our board chair props it wide open when she's there. And when we have a lot of people in the office, we leave it open. So it's more welcoming, and we'd love to operate that way, but we're not in Mayberry, so we have to. But don't feel bad if you tell somebody I can't open the door. You just say, I'm not authorized to open the door. And if they say, I saw you open it for someone else, you can say, I was authorized to open it for them. I'm not authorized to open it for you.
Let me just comment, because I was there a lot when we were shipping out food to people.
Mhm.
And Phoebe and I were there, and her husband as well. And we never, the door was wide open. And usually people that are homeless, they walk by, they kind of look, but they really don't bother you. They don't really want to be bothered, and they don't bother you. And Victoria Pastry is right there. And sometimes people hang out there in those chairs, and, the guy may come out and say, you need to walk along, but it's all friendly and pretty easy. And I don't think you'll have a problem. If you do, we know how to deal with it. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
the foot traffic is really high there, and that's good. We don't yet have an office phone. We have obviously the office line, it rings into my living room. So you can call me and you'll have our cell. If anything feels funky, it probably is funky, so.
I had strange people walking in and out of my house for 45 years, and I never had an issue. If I had a feeling about someone, I stood by the door. That
Oh,
was,
that's smart. Yeah, and there is a back door.
I never had an issue. And
Yeah,
I had a theft only once, a theft in a very large house.
those are good odds. Well, there is, in the lockbox, there is a key to the back door, which goes to this little stairwell and hub, and people have access to apartments back there, and there's garbage cans and whatnot. If you want to take that back door key in with you and put it in the back door so that you can, if you felt like you needed to get out that way, you could. And we also don't have garbage service yet. So you don't have to do anything with the garbage. If you brought food in, just walk it around the corner to those bins that they have and drop it in there. But for the most part, we don't have service yet, and our board members are taking the rubbish and the recycling home with them.
I'm sorry, I have a repair person that
Yep,
just came
We're
in.
done.
So I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to leave.
No, thank
But I'll
you.
talk to somebody on the phone about shifts.
We
or
sure
something.
will. Okay, thank you.
Sounds
Okay.
great.
Thank
Alright.
Thank
you.
you, Phyllis.
Nice to meet you, Phyllis. Thank you.
Nice to meet you too. Bye-bye.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.
And again, we'll send you this so you don't have to remember this. And if you go to the website, it'll look like this. And you'll want to go over to here where it says I'm a volunteer. And you can sign in. If you want, you can use an app, but if you're not into doing apps, you can do it on the computer and just on a browser. You can click browser sign in. And if you click on that button, it'll bring you to a sign in page. And then if you've never logged in before, you just go to reset password and you click that. And then you just type in your email and you'll get an email telling you how to sign in, how to set up the password. And if you have any trouble with this, I'm really happy to meet with anybody one-on-one to go over how to do it. If you're having trouble, they also have a great support team that will walk you through it if you need any help. But once you log in, you will see, let me go back to this other one real quick. So this is what the app looks like when you log in. And then there's this little menu at the top left corner. It's this little pancake stack. So if you click on that, it opens the menu. You go to visit opportunities, click on that, and it will show you the open opportunities. So hey, look, Eva and Jacques are looking to donate their books. So you'll see that opportunity, but you'll also scroll down and you'll see where it says, when it says Next Village SF, that means it's an office opportunity. And there'll be a little description. So like host a happy hour, come to the office to help organizing stuff. So if for these office shifts, it'll say, Next Village office hours in the description. And then when you open it up and you look at it, it'll give you a little more of a description. And then you'll see dates like this, where it gives you the date and then the time. So you select the date you want to do and select the time, and then submit to offer assistance. And that's
Right.
so that's basically how you sign up. And
And you-
I'll send you step by
Yeah,
step
this
on
is where
that.
you could put in, like, I can only do it from 11 to 1 or whatever. This is.
Yeah, you can type in this little box. So that's that. And like I said, if that seems overwhelming and you are worried about that, then just let me know and we can work on it together and I can get you signed up through email to start.